Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today I'm going to be discussing with you guys, you can tell by the title of this video, some buffs that I think the Italian cruisers need after playing them for, well, I played the Amalfi a whole lot, got decent at that ship, and I messed around with the other lower tier Italian cruisers that I got during the event, and now that I have access to the higher tier cruisers, and if you go back and you look in my Amalfi second impressions video, you can see where I say the Amalfi is quite decent, but not that fantastic. However, if the line keeps going in the direction that the improvement that the Amalfi had over the tier 7, then the tier 9 and tier 10 should be quite good. Now that we have the tier 9 and the tier 10 ships, the Venezia is definitely what I would call lackluster. The main problem I see with it is that it has a very high skill floor from what I've seen, and what my experience has been. It is extremely situational, and it's just kind of underwhelming. Now, again, my opinion of it is higher than my original first impressions of it, because I have managed to do quite decent in it since then. And my average game in this ship is like 80,000 damage, 90,000 damage, which it's not terrible considering it's a new ship with a new type of ammo that I'm not really used to yet. That I don't think any of us are used to yet, unless you've been like no-lifing it. But it's just kind of underwhelming. And the whole thing with SAP is that I haven't been in a situation where I'm using SAP and I haven't said, I just rather have HE. Because with the way the ship works and the way SAP works, you literally cannot start fires. For those of you that don't know, SAP, there is no chance of starting a fire with SAP. Which, alright, fair enough. But the Venezia's reload time is 20 seconds base. Yes, it does have 15 guns, but still, 20-second base reload on a tier 10 cruiser in the age of flamethrowers and fire breathers and rainbow HE spammers. If it had HE with a decent chance of setting a fire, taking into consideration the amount of guns, then yeah, it'd be okay, but it's not. The Venezia just depends pretty much almost entirely upon its sap to get its damage in, and every now and then you will have an opportunistic shot with AP, but that's it really. The few times that I've had games where I go north of 100,000 damage have been because heavy cruisers just slip up and show me their broadside, and I have time to actually switch to AP. I don't have expert loader yet, so it still takes a full 20 seconds to cycle through the loading process for AP, and I managed to get that salvo off before they realize and then angle to avoid my shots. And the first buff is probably the easiest thing that they could do is just decrease the reload. Like, make it the base reload 17 seconds or 18 seconds, and then with a module, you can get it down to around 15 or 16 seconds. I could see that as a nice buff to it, and I think that would probably fix the main problem with it. It's hard to get damage in with the ship. It really is. For the average player. I know there's some of you, way above average Super Unicom players that can make this ship work quite well. But for the rest of us, it's just kind of lackluster, and you have to survive for a very long time to get a good amount of damage in with this ship. Which isn't, again, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that you need to survive to get damage in. And it should really be like that in any ship. It's just that in the current age of flamethrowers, you can be in a small lens, can pass 100,000 damage in like 5 minutes if you're in the right position. But with Venezia, you certainly need to survive longer in the game, which the ship does have some decent armor. The deck has it's very, very nice. But again, against the battleships, it doesn't really matter because you are a cruiser, and they will delete you. And the ship isn't really forgiving at all in that aspect. If you slip up and show any battleship your broadside, you're done. you're just done. If they don't outright delete you, you can have like 11,000 health left over, if that. Which again, you slipped up, your mistake, you get punished for it. Okay. Unlike some ships, Smolensk, who can show broadside to battleships and they just get passes with overpins. Yeah. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's why I say it just really needs one buff, which is a reload buff. If they don't want to give it a reload buff, then I would suggest giving it something like hydroacoustic search. Not some insane hydroacoustic search, but just hydro. This thing is supposed to be very good against destroyers and light cruisers. So why not give it hydro so it can hunt them down in their smoke? And again, I'm not saying like German hydro, just some hydro would be nice. That or increase the speed on the torpedoes. They are incredibly slow. And I know, yes, you can equip the torpedo acceleration to remedy that, but again, that does also cut your range down, which, surprisingly, I've hit some quite long shots with these torpedoes that surprise even me sometimes. So maybe like a 5-knot boost to torpedo speed would be called for. That way it'd be around 60 knots instead of 55 knots. And I mean, that is really it in all aspects that I can see that the ship needs. And again, it only really needs one of these things. It either needs a buff to the reload speed, hydroacoustic search, or increased speed on its torpedoes. Just one of those three would make this ship much, much better. But obviously, I think that the main battery reload buff would be the main thing that I think this ship really needs. And SAP, again, it has its moments, but I'm willing to bet like 70% of the time that I'm using it, if not just 100% of the time that I'm using it, I'm just sitting there thinking, I'd just rather have HE. Because in the current meta of just sit there, burn each other to death, it's hard to fit in when you literally cannot burn anybody in this ship. And I know I've complained in the past about HE spam, but I mean, there's a difference between a cruiser with a 20-second reload using HE and spamming it versus something like the Smolensk, which is just a non-stop rainbow of the stuff. There's two way different things. Plus, like I said before, you can actually punish the Venezia when it slips up. It's hard to punish the Smolensk in a battleship. But anyway, that's the main thing I think it needs. And if they do that, then this ship would go from being, what I consider to be an alright ship, but nothing really worth sitting there and grinding out, to a good ship that I would say would be worth the grind. But it's just, this kind of isn't worth it right now. If you want a ship that has a 20-second reload, if you're okay with that, a heavy cruiser with a 20-second reload, you would just go get the Zao, because their playstyles are somewhat similar. I gotta give that to them. It's similar to the Zao's playstyle and to the Frenchie's playstyle, but of course it is a little different because of the SAP and the other aspects about the ship. But it's if you just like spamming, staying in the back and sniping, and just get the Zao. The Zao's much better guns and much better AP. HE. Well, it actually has HE in the first place, and it would just be, in my opinion, a better experience than the Venezia right now. And sure, the SAP is absolutely devastating against destroyers. That is the good thing about it. But you have to sit here and think, how many games do you really get in that have more than 4 destroyers in either team? And keep in mind, in the realm of most destroyers, if you go with the Venezia and wreck all of them, that's still only like 50,000 damage or 55,000 damage, again, depending upon what destroyer it is. So you can't really farm damage that way. Sure, you can kick the crap out of the destroyers, which is always fun. And again, could be an argument for why this thing needs hydro. But it's just so situational. You have to flank with it. You have to have a team that'll push up. You have to have someone that'll spot for you. You have to have the right composition of ships on the enemy team to be really efficient against them. And yes, you can hit the superstructure for battleships for some decent damage, but you also have to get close enough for that to happen. And keep in mind, this thing's max range is 17 kilometers. Now, of course, you can increase that with the spotter plane, but that's only for a limited time. And at tier 10, most battleships are fairly accurate around the 17 kilometer mark. The only ones that aren't are the Großer Kurfürst and the Kremlin. Well, the Kremlin's not supposed to be, but boy, have I had some games where it freaking rails me at like 18 kilometers. And again, it's just so situational. High skill floor, high risk, somewhat low reward ship. But again, I have had good matches in it. I've had decent matches in it, more so than terrible matches. I'm not saying the ship's bad. The ship's fairly good. It's just that it needs a little bit more to be worth the grind, because as of right now, in my opinion, it's really not. It just needs some love from Wargaming. Then I would say it'd be worth the grind. And who knows? They may buff it eventually, because I've been seeing across the community, pretty much everyone agrees that this ship is fairly meh and needs some love. But the way Wargaming goes at their pace, that probably won't be for another 3 months, if that. But hopefully it does get the love it needs, because again, I do like this ship. I do like it. It's just so underwhelming, and I can't really recommend it for grinding, for being grinded out right now. Boy, I'm tired. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think about the Venezia in the comments down below. Again, not saying it's a bad ship. It's a good ship, but it just needs some love. The whole Italian line needs some love right now. So I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. If you do like the video, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I think I said that already. I'm too tired. I had to fix my PC. Motherboard crapped out on me last night. That's why there wasn't a stream last night. If you didn't catch any of the announcements, I apologize for that. But PC's up and running now, as you guys can see. So anyway, I'm going to bed. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.